It's Vishwanathan Anand taking on Wesley So at the Levitov Chess Week 2023. Vishy has the white pieces against Wesley, and it's going to be a cracker of an encounter. There you see Anand extremely focused before the round, and Wesley also trying to get a moment of silence before the game begins. There we have it, a smile, handshake, and off we go. Vishy opens with 1 e4 and Wesley responds with the French defense. Very interesting choice. Generally, Wesley prefers to play e4, e5, but today he goes for the French and Anand plays the classical variation, pushing his pawn. Knight to d7 and f4. Look at Vishy capturing space in the center and Wesley trying to fight back with the push c5. Bishop e3. The pieces are developed. Vishy takes a moment to choose which line should he go for and decides to go for queen d2. Now very important not to castle here, because if you do so, black can go c4, b5, b4, and so it's important first to take the pawn, and that's exactly what Vishy does. Knight takes c5. Wesley brings his knight onto a good square. The only problem that black has in his position is this bishop on c8, which is not very active. Anand pushes his pawn to a3, and now Wesley has to decide how is he going to continue. He goes castles. He's still in his preparation, and now Vishy can basically play his bishop out to e2. That seems like a normal move, but instead he goes queen f2. He moves his queen to the side and attacks the knight on c5. Now queen a5 is one line which is very sharp and interesting. But there's also this move b6, just defending the knight and solidifying its position. Later on, black wants to break in the center with f6. Vishy now castles it out. And now f6 is possible. But Wesley goes queen to c7. Vishy now wants to actually try and start a kingside attack somehow. But it's not so simple. So first he brings his bishop to d3. And you know what he's saying to Wesley is that even if you take here, I'm completely fine because after rook d3, I'm happy with my position. So Wesley plays his bishop to b7. Somewhere black should be aiming for the f6 break, but right now Wesley doesn't do that. He goes queen to g3 here. And in the background we can see the arbiter coming in to sort of clean. But f5 played in the position. Wesley So stops the attack there with the bishop, and if you take en passant, then bishop takes f6 is possible. So is rook takes f6. So Vishy ignores it and plays his king to b1, a useful move to move his king away from the c file. b5, not a good idea there by Wesley So, because now Vishy can actually take on c5, deflect the bishop from e7 and then use the g5 square for his knight to attack this, and he does it. He takes on c5, bishop takes, queen h3, excellent move. Two ideas. First of all, put pressure here, threaten knight g5, and also opening up the king side with g4. Wesley plays g6 in order to protect this pawn with his queen, so as knight g5 doesn't create a double attack, then he can defend e6, but Vishy goes g4. Whoa, what an attack. It's boiling up. Now, what does Wesley do? Because if he takes here, then the bishop suddenly opens up on this diagonal. He goes b4. He wants to counterattack. Now Vishy can actually move his knight to a4. He can even take the pawn on b4, but it's going to give black some counterplay. He can actually sacrifice a piece, and he does it. He takes the pawn on f5. It's opening up. Now you cannot play g takes f5 because the g file opens up there, and e takes f5 is met with knight takes d5. So Wesley chops off the knight and he asks Vishy, show me your compensation. And Anand has to decide how to continue because c takes b2 is also on cards. He takes on g6. He's opening things up, and Wesley now defends the pawn on e6 there. But how do you continue the attack? The g1 square would be nice, but the bishop is actually controlling it, and Anand is already a piece down. If you take on h7, the king hides on h8. Oh, he brings his rook to g1. He sacrifices another exchange there. And look at that, Wesley under pressure, Vishy looking super confident. The Madras Tiger is out there for the hunt. Wesley takes the rook, and now Anand has to decide what to do. He's taking his time, and that's what attackers do. Even if a natural move is in sight, they generally take their time and find the best one. He takes on g1. Many ideas are there in the position. The main one is g7 to unleash the attack on h7 pawn. How does Wesley meet it is the big question there. He's taking his time. He takes on f4, and his point is, if you play now g7, then rook e4 blocks the bishop's diagonal. So that is what he wants to do. But Vishy is looking very excited there. I think there's something that he's seen. You can see him sort of trying to make the move. Oh, he picks up the pawn and sacrifices his queen. What a move. If rook takes e6, this g takes h7, double check, king h8, and rook g8 is a checkmate. What a brilliant concept there by Vishy Anand, sacrificing his queen. Wesley So is stunned. He moves his king to f8, g takes h7, threatening to make another queen. This is a game over. If you play queen h7, I first give an intermediate check and then pick up your queen. Wesley is now busted, and he resigns with a smile. There you can see Vishy extremely happy with what he's just achieved. He played a brilliant attacking game, and as they say, the experienced 5-time world champion attacked with his hand there. He did not even stop, and he says to Wesley, let's sort of analyze outside, and that's where they are heading to. Amazing play by Vishy Anand. At 53, he is still so sharp. It's simply phenomenal.